to be live. Yeah, looks like we are live. Thank you very much. So those who are here, greetings and very good morning. And of course, welcome to your show. This is on behalf of Kimpro Foundation. My name is Anshuman Tiwari, and I'll be your co-host today. We will quickly get into the show in a couple of minutes. But before that, a quick reminder. This is the 13th show in this series that we call the Qualitist Show. And in this show, we make sure that we bring to you quality professionals that we call qualitists. And these are distinguished professionals who have done a lot in their field and have a story to tell. And our role, you can say, is that we try and bring that to a larger audience. So if you are in the quality profession, if you are a qualitist or related, associated, this is your show. Yeah, right? So we want your feedback, we want your involvement. And if you're watching this, please take some time to, depending on where you are, LinkedIn or YouTube, take some time to like, share, or comment so that the both the algorithms take this further, right? So I know many of you like our shows, but you don't show the love online. So unless you show that, the LinkedIn or YouTube algorithm will not figure out that you are liking these shows, and they will not show this to you and your colleagues and like-minded people. So that is a reminder I often give, and I know many of you have helped us out, but we definitely need more help to take the quality message across to many more people, right? This is a mission that we are on, and like all missions, it is not easy. But with your help, hopefully we'll get where we want to. So first, quickly on YouTube and LinkedIn, do let me know if you can see us properly. This is live. Sometimes tech glitches make it difficult. So I can see Ajit on YouTube has definitely let us know. So, and if you are on LinkedIn, please let me know as well. Sometimes these things take a little while to warm up. The other reminder quickly is that, sorry, since this is the 13th episode, obviously there have been 12 more, right? So take some time to check these episodes out. They are all on if you are watching this on LinkedIn, all on the same handle. You can follow my page and you will be able to see the previous version. If you want a playlist or something like that, you can always check the YouTube version. So with those, housekeeping stuff out of the way, let me invite my partner in crime, Balaji Reddy. So Balaji is, of course, a distinguished quality professional himself and a qualitist, and also a professor. And we will invite him now, add him to the stream, so that we can continue. Namaste, sir. So
Namaste.
over to you, and with any quick comments, and then we move on with the show.
Oh yeah, I mean, Palak Jhabatte, we've come to our 13th episode. It's amazing, right? More than a year we've been doing this, and I think more than the speakers, we've been very selfish learners, right? The two of us, as Suresh sir said, terrorizing the speakers who come here. But today's episode is bound to be special, especially for people like me who work most of our time in manufacturing industry. And that's why when we have the Qualtech Awards, given a choice between manufacturing and service, I always choose service because we get so lost in the physical aspect, we forget that there is, the service operations where the customer himself or herself is the product. And we're going to be seeing that now. And if you look at it from a very conceptual standpoint, then going to a beauty parlor or a haircutting salon is like a manufacturing process, okay, where they're changing the physical appearance of a person. But the other aspect of where the customer himself or herself is the product would be, healthcare and hospitality,
The other aspect of
where we talk about physiological changes, and sometimes they are visible, sometimes they're not. In the pure service industry like hospitality, where the customer is an integral part of the process and the enhancing the consumer experience. But in healthcare, it's so much more exacting because there's lives are at stake. And so today we're going to be talking to one such person from the healthcare industry, and that's always a revelation. In fact, I think at Qualtech Awards we now have a separate category for healthcare. That's amazing, which used to be under service, but now it's a separate category by itself. So I think without much ado, let's call our mentor, Mr. Suresh Lulla. He's the reason the two of us are here.
Over to you.
Good morning to all the participants. Namaste. I have the great pleasure of introducing Dr. Lallu Joseph, a person whom I have known for maybe 5 years now. All this time, I thought she was a medical doctor, only to realize that she had a PhD in mechanical engineering. That is amazing. How she has completely woven herself into the healthcare space. I have interacted sufficiently with her. And if I had to describe her, I would say she is trustworthy. Trustworthy in terms of her competencies, the technical and the soft skills. But more important, character, integrity. She keeps her promises. Maturity in how she describes a problem. And she has an abundance mentality. It has to be a win-win solution to any of her problems. She's trustworthy because she has the right character and the competencies. Try living with just one. Try living with just character. Would you trust if the person had no competencies? And vice versa. You have competencies but lack the character. Lallu Joseph is a benchmark example of trustworthiness. With that, I hand it over to you, Anshuman.
Sure. Thank you, sir. And welcome, ma'am. But what the flow of the session, of course, is if you have any opening comments, please go ahead, and then we'll move on with the show. So I'll make you the spotlight, and if you have any opening comments or response to what sir said, though nobody tries that, but over to you.
Very good morning and thank you very much, Quimpro Foundation, for having me here today. Suresh sir, it's like getting a Nobel Prize today. Thank you very much for that introduction. Honestly, I don't know if I deserve all that. I feel it's a proud moment for me hearing that from you. I must certainly say I'm a very proud qualitist, which I consider as the mark of excellence for quality professionals. And to me, quality is not my just my profession, but it's a passion. And I'm committed to promoting quality, patient safety, and accreditation in healthcare. I take inspiration from Dr. Avedis Donabidian, whom we consider as the father of healthcare quality. And he said, systems awareness and systems design are important for health professionals, but they are not enough. They are enabling mechanisms only. It is the ethical dimension of individuals that is essential to a system's success. Ultimately, the secret of quality is love. You have to love your patients, you have to love your profession, and you have to love your God. If you have love, you can then work backwards to monitor and improve the system. I feel I have love for my profession, I have love for my God, and love for the patients we serve. And that's the beginning of quality, in my opinion. And thank you very much once again, Kimpro Foundation, Anshuman, Balaji, and Suresh sir for having me today.
No, the pleasure is ours, man. Balaji, your first question, yours. We of course have a small list of questions as always prepared, but
Yeah.
to the audience, a quick reminder that both on LinkedIn and YouTube, I see that we have about already 125, 40 plus people, which number is growing actually now. So that's a fantastic thing. But you can ask your questions. Do drop in your question. We will pick up the questions a little later in the show. But if you have a question and feel that you might forget it, you can record it right now, put it in the chat on both the channels, and we'll get on with the show. Balaji, over to you.
Wow. Thanks a lot, Anshuman. So that was a great introduction, and ma'am, that were lovely opening words. When you said that more than anything else, it is love, because I have a firm belief in something similar. That quality is a joy in ownership of, when the customer feels a joy in ownership, and it's joy in work that we provide. I mean, that it gives us joy to provide that to the customer. So when you said love, I think we can add that in. Now, coming to our questions, the very first question is, I think, when Suresh sir himself has said, that you're a PhD in mechanical engineering. So before I get into that, how did this transition happen from PhD in mechanical to medicine and then into quality? So could you please tell us? I think this is going to be one hell of a roller coaster ride.
I think it's a pure accident, I must say. And
Okay.
I just stand corrected. I'm a PhD in hospital administration. I'm a mechanical
Oh,
engineer, yes, by profession, and then went on to do my master's in business administration and PhD in hospital administration. But
okay.
having said that, I never wanted to actually come into healthcare at all. I wanted to be in the bureaucracy into civil services. It so happened that I
Okay.
got married to a neurosurgeon and ended up in a hospital. And so again, a problem. What do I do? Here I am sitting in a campus with full of doctors. I didn't know how to proceed forward, and I always had a passion for administration. So I thought, okay, it may be better for me to join administration. So I joined for MBA with the VIT, Vellore Institute of Technology, and then
Okay.
I thought. And I started working in a software company. So my initial career was in
My
software.
goodness.
So 4 years in software company, I was heading the company as vice president. And then my husband took a sabbatical. So wherever he went, I went along with him. So he was in Canada, and I started my career as a teacher there in the Rotman School of Management, Toronto. So, and I got trained with the Canadian Healthcare Association for healthcare quality, because I knew we were going to come back to India. And in my stint as vice president in the software company, I was also overseeing quality. And that's where I developed the interest for quality. So I thought, let me get myself formally into quality management. So when we came back, that was the time the quality management cell was being set up in CMC Vellore. So in 2007. At that time, quality was very new, nascent to healthcare, particularly accreditation. So the Quality Council of India had started this NABH accreditation program,
Yes.
and CMC wanted to go in for that. So they heard that this doctor's wife has completed something in healthcare quality. And there she comes into the picture, and that's how I landed here. Believe me, the first day I saw this board EEG, and I thought, look at this, it's a spelling mistake. How did anybody put ECG? In my mind, I knew only ECG. I never knew that there was something called EEG that existed. So that was how I was, very naive. But having pushed into this ocean with 3,500 beds and 12,500 staff, I realized that I have to build my capacity. So capacity building is where I started. And I must tell you, I almost sat for 16 hours, learned medicine and nursing, allied health sciences, went into the department. So the first 2 years, I completely spent on learning structures, processes, and outcomes. That's why I keep talking about Dr. Avadis Donabidian, and I keep coming back to him. It was a very tough journey to get the acceptance from the healthcare professionals from a non medical background. But things have worked out well. I should certainly say It's because of perseverance, working around them, learning, and constant learning. So, and I did the impossible here, which is taking this hospital towards accreditation in 5 years. And we are the largest hospital in the country to be accredited by the NABH. And after that, the journey, I should say, has been very good, learning and learning every day.
Wow, it was a roller coaster. I mean, when you started saying that your Dr. Saab, your husband is a neurosurgeon, I was about to interject with a, without sounding offensive, that oh my God, there's been a brain alteration change right from mechanical engineering to medicine. But amazing, what a journey, what a journey. Yeah, Anshuman, I don't know what to say.
No, no, better when learned people talk, Balaji, you and I should keep quiet. But
I
we
know we
have
should
to
just
ask.
shut up. Yeah.
But sir has given us this task, so we will ask the questions, man. But truly amazing. I was making notes, and after some point, I was hoping that I will be able to track your journey and publish it. But then after 2 3 changes, I gave up. I said, fine. I think this is going way too long than I can quickly keep pace. So thank you very much for that. And I think the lesson for this, all of us, is that um, a there is nothing like this is the career you are given, and you can always alter your career. You can always learn new things, whatever be your age, as long as you are interested. You can always alter your career shifts. I keep talking a lot about career overlaps, intersections, and adjacent spaces. You are a living example of totally adjacent spaces, moving across spaces, and the core skills of learnability and perseverance and patience, and of course the life skills, which many people call soft skills, all that come together. And there we have examples like you. So thank you for being an example. I will now be able to quote your example in some of the sessions that I conduct.
Anytime.
So moving on, the so of course, now you are a leading qualitist, and you shared, your achievements at the CMC, and you are also at a top position in CAHO, which is also a leading organization for medical in the medical world. But the area that I wanted to explore along with Balaji is that we all know that quality and healthcare are deeply connected. I mean, healthcare is meaningless if there is no quality in it, because eventually you could have these situations where people have more secondary infections than primary. So whatever they came to the hospital for, that may or may not get treated, but they may go back with some prasad which they didn't ask for. So in those situations, over last 50, 60 years, actually, quality in healthcare has been extremely important. So the area I wanted to explore is that can you share some examples how this is so vital, critical, and then of course any suggestions to improve the quality of healthcare, which people like us can also follow. Obviously government, organizations will do, but others also can follow. Over to you, man.
Yeah, thank you. Yes, you're right. You cannot have patients treated without quality being offered to every point. But healthcare is very, very complicated. Healthcare is labor intensive. For a 100-bedded hospital, you end up having about 350, 400 people and different professionals, starting from the doctors to nurses, technologists, housekeeping, engineers, and they all have to work seamlessly. So that is where this entire thing of documenting standard operating procedures, accountability, roles of individuals really comes into play, because you will see little kingdoms. Doctors don't talk to nurses, the nurses don't communicate to the other groups. So you people function in silos when they ideally should be functioning as a team. And that's the major challenge with healthcare. And that's exactly why quality management in healthcare is extremely important, where you're putting down the standard operating procedures, the clinical pathways, guidelines, to make sure that standardization is established and people don't, move away from established processes. This is one area where you cannot be very innovative and start experimenting things, because it's lives of individuals who are in your hands. So that's exactly how complicated it is. And one small mistake done by somebody could end up in losing a life. For example, we all know about Sri Devi, the beautiful actress, and her mother was operated in one of the leading centers in Manhattan, Sloan Kettering, for a brain surgery. And she was operated by the leading neurosurgeon on the opposite side of the brain. And she ended up
Correct.
being in vegetative state. And this can happen to anybody, it can happen anywhere. So, there are a lot of systems, protocols that are established to make sure that these things are caught way before they reach the patient. So the adherence to these are very, very important. And we know the safety culture in our country. We don't take safety very seriously. So that's where these checks and balances in the form of checklists, protocols, responsibilities for individual plays a major role in healthcare. And what I'm seeing is, whatever we do, the awareness is very important. We are not training the undergraduates, whether it is medical or nursing, into quality and safety practices when they are groomed. So they come to us at 30, 35, and at that point we start talking about quality patient safety to them. So the need of the hour is actually to incorporate this as they are growing in their undergraduate curriculum, make them feel the importance of this. And that's exactly what all our organizations are trying to do, because it is extremely important we catch them young and help them understand the importance of checklists and not make them like tick lists, not pass on the responsibility to others. It's highly complicated, and the teamwork is what is most important. I hope I've answered your question, because it's a very it's a detailed one. Yeah.
Like I said in the opening, Dr. Lulu, this is not, there is no answer. It's your life journey, and we want to learn from it and explore and understand how figured out some of these things. And from that, if the younger generation, all of us included, can take some lessons and improve what we do, that will be awesome. So that's the whole purpose of this. And of course, in that process, we are spreading or trying to spread the word around quality and the profession of qualities. So that, of course, is there. So thank you very much. Completely inspiring journey. And we already have quite a few questions coming in, but I will pose them a little later. Balaji, over to you.
Yeah, I mean, amazing. I mean, when you were just describing the challenges you faced, that they were operating in silos, and then you said you'd have to uh, come up with standard operating procedures, because that the thing that you mentioned, that there's a lot at stake. It has to be exacting because lives are at stake. So when you learned about quality, we all learn about the soft side of it, the philosophical aspect, and then the technical side where tools and techniques come in. For me, it's always been a learning process of how the service industry adapts and adopts these tools. Uh, is there anything that you feel that the way you adopted, that this could be reverse adopted in the manufacturing industry? Something that you came across. Let me put the question again. We're talking about adopting existing quality tools into healthcare, and you said it's very exacting. So the other way around, that what do you think? What did you realize during implementing these tools in healthcare, that you felt that if this could be done in manufacturing, it would help them? Is there anything like that you have, some kind of an advice, or any other domain could pick up?
Certainly, and thanks for that. I must really compliment the manufacturing and other industries for actually allowing us to learn from all of you. Because end of the day, the quality principles, the tools, all that, we are now teaching 7 basic tools to our healthcare professionals. That's where we are. But there are a lot of practices that certainly the other industries can learn from us. But what is happening today is actually learning from the other industries for healthcare, particularly from the aviation sector, aviation industry, from nuclear power plants, where high reliability is extremely important. So that's where we are learning a lot of things from, particularly when it comes to simulation. The aircraft simulation is now into our system, where we don't allow our postgraduates to directly go and explore the patient's body. Rather, it is under skills lab, and they get trained and then they go forward. And with hands-on communication with regards to handing over, taking over the patient's end of the shift, all that is from the industry that we have actually learned. including all the quality control measures in our laboratory, which we have actually taken from statistical process control that was earlier a tool in manufacturing, and all the QC tools from manufacturing is what has come into healthcare today. But what I have noticed is that healthcare is highly resilient. Pandemic is the best example. People in healthcare really adopt and learn immediately, and they know how to reverse engineer also. All reverse engineering methods happen in a jiffy in healthcare, and that is something, that resilience is something which is very, very unique to healthcare, is what I feel. The way we actually stood up to the pandemic, made sure everything was all right, and whatever we learned from the other industries, we put into practice, and we developed newer systems, quality controls when it came to who should get the bed, who should not, how do you triage, taking very difficult decisions may not be directly linked to the quality principles and quality tools, but certainly management principles and management tools, I would say. But we are learning from all the industries, manufacturing, and particularly from the aviation and services sector. That's what I would say.
Wow, yeah. I mean that's the word you use, resilience, and I think the speed with which you have to respond because you didn't have time. Whether it was preparation for ventilators, beds, what have you. I think healthcare workers were the frontline people who put their lives on the line to others. Especially, I think during the second wave, it was crazy what was happening. But the way
Absolutely.
our healthcare system responded, I think there's a lot to learn. In fact, that can be a very, very good case, that we could look into. We need to have this cross-industry training, and I think
Exactly.
definitely healthcare we can learn from healthcare. Wow. Yeah. Yeah,
Particularly the
Anshuman.
lean principles. We took the lean
Yeah.
principles very seriously during COVID, and oxygen, making sure that we have oxygen stewardship. How to reduce consumption, how to optimally utilize the oxygen for maximizing the usage of oxygen. Yes, lot of learning.
Mhm. Wow.
Thank you. Before we go ahead, this appears like a greeting, so I sharing it.
Vartukal. Vartukal.
வாழ்த்துக்கள்
Um,
Lallu.
Vartukal, yes.
thank you, Venkatesan, for that. There are quite a few other ones. Our distinguished politist, quality professional, and ASQ fellow Hemant is also in this session. Thank you, Hemant. And Dr. Atul Bhargava, it seems like he knows you well, so he's also sent a comment. Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, moving on with the kind of areas that we want to explore in this talk, Dr. Lallu. So the one area, of course, is that you've reached a certain position in your career, and you are, I'm sure you are able to guide youngsters who want to learn from you. But we want to take that message across to other youngsters who may not be in directly touch with you, right? So, and thankfully, these kind of conversations and online medium allows us to carry that message to many more people who may not have the physical proximity, or may not be in India as well, right? So there are quite a few people who join from other countries as well. And one advantage, because this stays on LinkedIn and YouTube for much later, people can keep watching it. So the area I wanted to explore and seek your response is that what advice, if somebody was starting their career, his or her career in quality or administration in hospitals or healthcare or associated fields, what advice would you give to them? And the other way this question can also be, um, you know, 20 years younger Dr. Lallu getting into this, or what advice would you give her now that you are much wiser and much more accomplished? What advice would you give? Over to you.
Yeah, thank you so much, Anshuman. I think I'm feeling a little old today. Yeah, there is a lot of learning from the years of experience. And what I have learned is the first thing that one must have is the passion for whatever you do. And as young quality professionals, the first thing to have is that passion. If you don't have that passion, you cannot be a quality professional at all, because it's a very tough life for a quality professional, particularly in healthcare, because you are seen like a police, and actually you're a facilitator, but you're seen as a police. So you have to have that thick skin to basically get all comments, criticism, and allow it to fly over you. My skin has become very thick that I don't bleed at all. If they have to puncture for drawing some blood, also, I think they'll have difficulty. So, end of the day, nothing is personal. You have to take it as your professional feedback that you are receiving, that you have to correct yourself. So, the second thing that I want to say is adaptability and the openness to change. So you need to have that, and without that, it's very, very difficult. And the third important thing is to be a problem solver rather than a problem creator. So most often I see young professionals becoming very, very, what do I say? They cannot wait for things to happen. So they have to have everything overnight. Things don't change in setup like healthcare. Things don't change very easily. It takes decades. So even with small incremental improvements, you should be happy, you should be proud that you made the change, rather than expecting change to happen overnight. So perseverance is the key. You don't give up, you keep on, and keep working around people rather than, just go and fight with them. So, and the other important thing I feel is learning, continuous learning. We think we know everything and then we end up with knowing nothing. So, you need to continuously learn not just the quality principles, but managing people, working with people, newer techniques, data, analytical ability. So, there's lots that we need to know. And overall, I feel you should just smile, have the passion, the drive, learn, persevere. Those are the things I would say. And don't take anything personally. Professional approach is very, very important.
So, talking to the smile part, I will definitely carry many weeks after this session. So, thank you very much for the reminder. But as I was listening to you and making some notes, of course, like Balaji said in the opening, that this is like private tuition we get, and everybody else is also watching, right? So, we get to learn from stalwarts like you, and of course, audience can join. But what struck me is that this is the 13th session, and we've asked this question more or less in similar words to other people as well, right? So, other qualities as well. And the response has been pretty much the same, right? Across industries. So, you are, of course, in healthcare. There have been people in manufacturing, services, consultants, authors, everybody. The response has been very similar: passion, perseverance, learnability, people management. Oh, that turns out to be 4 P's in some ways, but didn't plan it that way. But yeah, so you know that's a striking coincidence, or maybe it is not a coincidence. This is the lesson we all learn when we spend a time in a profession dutifully. So thank you very much, man, for that lesson. Quickly, one quick reminder: we already have started getting questions, so please let them pour in. We will very soon, maybe after the next question, we'll get into these questions. Some fans, Dr. Lallu, are there, so I will let you read Myla one, yeah, and
Mine.
Sumana Nandi, and quite a few, Sheetal, Dr. Geeta Fulari, and many others. So do after the show, maybe if you do check the YouTube recording and the LinkedIn, maybe you can respond to them. So that is one. The other quick thing before we move to Balaji for the next question is that there are over 70-75 people on YouTube. And again, a reminder that if you do want to catch the previous 12 episodes, do subscribe to the channel so that you can get easy access to the previous episode. You will find a playlist for the Quality Show, and all the previous featured qualities, their interviews are there on the playlist. With that plugin, a marketing plugin, I move to Balaji for your question. And then maybe after this question, Balaji, we can start because there are quite a few questions. I would not want the audience to go feel unanswered. So we'll
Yeah,
switch.
yeah, yeah. Of course. Right. So wow, I mean, listening to you and the journey that you've had, and of course, you're just sharing, slowly and steadily, the experiences that you've had. Uh, about quality management as a profession, as a science, what do you think is the future? And I've looked at it as in a broad perspective as well as I would say since you're from healthcare and we're all very eager to know more about that. But broadly as a profession and even as a science, what do you see the future of quality now? How do you see it?
Yeah. So I personally feel, particularly in healthcare, I'm not very savvy about the other industries because I've been spending my entire time on healthcare. I feel technology adoption is the key for going to the next level of care and also for delivering the right quality to the patients. So why technology adoption? One, Institute of Medicine has clearly put down six particular pillars of quality, and we call it the STEEP. S for safety, T for timeliness, E for effectiveness, efficiency, equity, and P for patient centered. So the E, it's three E's actually. So in order to have all this, you need technology. When you have artificial intelligence in your pathology or in your radiology imaging, CT, MRI, what happens is the results can come out very quickly. Now it's a lot of manual process and the time delays are there with regards to reporting. Anything and everything with regards to patient decision support systems, using the technology, adopting that, it's extremely important that we go in that direction. It is a constraint because we are in a resource limited setting, but certainly technology is the way forward. I feel that's one. And the second thing is sustainability. We are a very hazardous industry, and we probably rank number two in usage of energy, next to probably food services. So the efficiency here, the green concept, reusing, the usage of plastic is very high. The waste we generate, the biomedical waste, and the kind of dioxins we add on is I don't know what to call it. It's massive. The biomedical waste we generate, all that. So our focus now should get into sustainability as well. How efficiently and effectively we manage our resources so that we leave it for the next generation. And healthcare believes in doing no harm. So that should become the next mantra, I feel, doing no harm to the environment as well. So I feel the integration of quality into technology and sustainability is extremely important, and that's probably the future, I feel.
Wow, that is an interesting point because if you know, we have a group called the Green Quality Movement. So I think what you just said would definitely go a long way. It didn't occur to us, right? That the disposable gloves, disposable syringes, and didn't realize that this could actually pile up, and the plastic. It is a waste; it can't be reused. So, wow, I mean that is something really to think about.
Hmm.
Yeah, Anshuman, some
Yeah,
questions from the audience.
yeah, we'll get to that, but I think it is time for Mr. Mulla also. If you had have a question or a comment, sir, you wanted to say something?
I fully agree with you, Lalu, that digitization and sustainability, we have no choice. We have to go forward. And looking at your career path, I'd like to ask you, have you ever considered a degree in reliability engineering?
Certainly,
Because
yes.
reliability is the key now, and it'll supersede many practices that we have in quality management. So, build quality into the design.
Yes.
And the two main indices which I've learned from Balaji's boss are MTTR
Hmm.
and MTBF, mean time between failures,
Okay.
and mean time to restore. You mentioned resilience, etc., but how can we make it a way of life? So, reliability, do you have any interest in the subject?
Certainly, certainly, sir. But time is the factor now. But I'm
Mm.
planning to take another sabbatical probably because now I'm actually in charge of a lot of projects here in CMC Vallur with our new projects. So I'm really interested in that, and I feel that's the need of the hour. And thank you for bringing that out. I must spare the time to get into that. Thank you. Thank you.
That's the right step.
Thanks, Doctor. So, yeah, let me quickly. So, we'll move to some audience questions, Dr. Lalu. And Dr. Atul seems to have a question, which is just picking up from. I can assure you that he asked this question before Mr. Lula asked this question around reliability and technologies, but I'm sharing it around how AI and ML. AI, of course, is artificial intelligence and machine learning, can improve quality and safety in healthcare. Any high level views, of course, we are not detailing
Yeah.
everything.
I did mention about the STEAM principles. The thing is, human errors are possible when you are going to, let's assume that you are scanning through 100 CT or 100 MRI images. The fatigue, you may miss out 100 things in the process if it's a manual process. But if you are allowing the AI to take its machine completely with millions of data that is already available, the machine has learned, and that logic is going to apply to all these 100 CT or MRI. And it is a matter of those abnormal results that the radiologist or pathologist that needs to go through rather than going through every 100 CT or MRI. It is like the ECG. The normal ECG, nobody really goes through that. It's the abnormal ones. So often when we come across our CT and MRI, it is only those 10 or 15 percentage which is abnormal. So now we are wasting time on 100 CT and 100 MRI, going through them, triaging them, scanning them out. So it is going to improve the timeliness. It is certainly going to improve the precision and also the reliability aspects, and deliver the right care to the patient. Today it is seeming like impossible, but a lot of Western countries have adopted to this, and in India also it has come into the picture. So the time has come for that in all aspects of care. At least not as a. It's going to complement. It is not a replacement. Certainly, it's going to complement the professionals.
Sure. Thank you, ma'am. And Venkat Ram has asked a similar question, but he's added, I think there is a small spelling error, but it probably meant bots, which means robotic assisted or led surgery or other medical features. This, of course, is already happening around us. But any comments, ma'am, on this?
Yeah, so these are all again resource limited setting. It's extremely expensive also. This is not going to solve the entire problem of the country, but certainly it is going to take you to the next level of excellence. But the necessity, I think we have to divide it as vital, essential, and desirable. And what is going to really impact the mass, that's the one that we'll have to adopt to immediately rather than going for one off, uh, you know, the resource that's going to drain your resources, I would say. So when it happens to robotic surgery and all that, it's going to really focus on a limited group of population, whereas all your AI, ML is going to really focus on mass. So that's my thinking, but I may be wrong.
No, I mean, I have no qualification to add to this, but in terms of how a lot of artificial intelligence, I mean, machine learning is one form of basically artificial intelligence where the program is learning from itself, right? So it's just outed as two different streams, but it's actually one basic concept. But there is, for example, there is a recent study where a group of patients who eventually had breast cancer over a period of time, their patterns were studied and fed into an AI model, and the model actually predicted better than a mammograph and other medical interventions. So, and this then study has been repeated in some other types of
Yes.
cancer as well, and we are on the cusp of actually probably saying that maybe in a few years time various patterns of people who eventually had these cancer or other similar situations, if those patterns can be fitted into normal healthy people and observed over a period of time, it will be possible to predict whether this person has a chance of getting the same cancer or not. There is already CRISPR. Sorry, I'm adding to your knowledge, but the CRISPR is gene modification. The gene sequence itself is getting. We can download the entire gene sequence, a few hundred of dollars, and who knows what if in 5 years' time we can start editing that gene sequence, and if you can download something logically and read something logically, at some point you will be able to edit something, the same thing, right? So CRISPR is already allowing that, and I'm quite eagerly waiting that will it be possible in future to edit the gene sequence, and which will make sure that we can remove life-threatening diseases, at least the ones which happen during from man-made causes. But let's see. That's the limit of the medical knowledge that I had, and I've shared. Um, Praveen has an interesting question. I'm sure he didn't mean that each department, but he's looking at what could be the KPIs, key productivity or key performance indicators from a patient safety point of view, since you run a large hospital. So anything from a KPI point of view for from patient safety.
Yeah, I mean, it's again department specific or the institution in general. We talk about patient falls, we talk about all the infection related key performance indicators like device related CORTI, CLABSI, ventilator associated pneumonias, pressure ulcers that have developed during the stay of the patient. And even when it comes to occupational health related, you have to take that also seriously. You will have your staff having suicidal attempts, or you will have substance abuse among your staff, absenteeism. Those kind of aspects also need to be looked into. Chemical spillages and safety related other KPIs. There are n number of KPIs available. We monitor in CMC about 198 occupational health related on all five domains: physical, psychosocial, chemical, biological, everything. And when it comes to patient safety, there are about 70 plus key performance indicators that we monitor and present to our safety committee. I can share them with you certainly. And you have to be very specific and customize it to your setting. Copy and paste doesn't work in healthcare at all. It has to be very customized to your departments. If it's nephrology, what are the patient safety issues? If it is cath lab, what are the patient safety issues there? It has to be very specific and customized.
Sure, thanks. Praveen, you asked this question, so what we'll do is that, of course, I'm sure you got a answer that you expected, but Dr. Lallu will probably leave the link or something later on the chat. So this question came on LinkedIn, Dr. Lallu. So whenever you have some time, uh, similar question was asked by Chaitanya Baliga also, who is also a regular in this space. Another um Qualitist, Dr. Rajesh Damodran, wants to know which quality tools are best in healthcare. Of course, best is a relative term, but what are the most commonly useful tools, quality tools that you see in your healthcare projects?
Yeah, I'm fascinated by this, I should say. Now, I go as a principal assessor for the National Accreditation Board, and the two tools that I see in all the quality improvement projects, one is Pareto and the other one is Fishbone. These are the most widely used tools that I see in every project. Beyond that, people have not progressed. They have probably gone into some amount of brainstorming, some amount of control charts and things like that. But in my opinion, again, coming to it, Pareto and Fishbone probably are the best tools at this point in time. When it comes to problem solving, understanding what exactly is the root cause or the causes, the most commonly used is RCA, the five I's, These are the ones I'm seeing. We have not really gone beyond them. But these are the best tools. In my opinion, also, these are probably the best tools that gives you what you want, not complicate things.
No, I was half expecting. The moment you started smiling, I realized that this is probably coming. But this is another example of the Occam's razor, where the simplest answers, which we think may not be true, is actually true, right? Because if these tools are being used by many people, probably they work very well and they are what is needed, right? So that's a that's
That's
also
the timelessness. I mean,
yeah.
hats off to the people who first invented it, right?
Yeah, and it's another example of Occam's razor principle. So, uh, Chaitanya has another question. Thank you, Chaitanya, for sharing quite a few questions. I'm asking one of them on your behalf. What about drug and medical device quality management system? So I guess he probably had a deeper question, but has put it in fewer words. So, any comments on this one?
Yes, the government of India has set up two bodies today. One is the Material Vigilance Program of India, and the other one is the CDSCO that takes care of pharmacovigilance. At the moment, the responsibility of hospitals and the healthcare professionals is to report any adverse drug reactions or any untoward incident with regards to devices, instruments, consumables, implants, all that. So it's limited to reporting at this point in time. Again, it is not a fault finding exercise because this may not be, they have to do a causality analysis to see exactly whether the product or the drug is at fault rather than because it could be just a suspected one. So at the moment, it is only at the reporting level. And they give us the feedback, and sometimes we do recall some drugs and recall some consumables and implants. It is ending with that, but lots to do in this domain, and it's a huge industry. Regulation is the need as well, so that's probably what the government is trying to do, but our responsibility ends with reporting at this point in time because these are all approved products.
Sure. Quite a few questions still coming in, but we had one question. Balaji and I normally don't end without asking this, and I will ask on our behalf. Is the question around, you of course mentioned learning and continuous learning and so on. And very quickly, if you can share, how do you learn and what method do you use to keep yourself updated? What can you suggest to our audience as to it need not be in healthcare domain, but of course, anything that your process of how does Dr. Lallu Joseph learn?
I learn from others' mistakes, let me put it that way. So every simple thing, I get into the root cause of it. And the first thing that I told myself is I'm never going to become a police in my life. It is never a fault finding exercise. It is always a fact finding exercise. So when I understand, when I see an incident happening, I get into the root cause of it. I read about it. So today it is all about reading, going back, and it's small pieces of learning that I'm doing at a time. So I'm not spending 2 hours, 3 hours at a go reading a particular book or something. So it's a lot of learning on a day-to-day basis, working with people, working around people, and it is never a fault-finding exercise. That's the intent. So it's continuous learning is what I believe in, and something like samosa. You have to read and you take something out of it. That's what I would say. Never miss an opportunity to learn. And talking is another thing. Talk to everyone, speak, learn what they have gone through. It's a lot of wisdom that gives you greater ideas. And try new things. We will make mistakes. You should never shy away from making mistakes. I tell all my colleagues, make mistakes and tell me that you made a mistake. I'll stand with you. So that confidence is very important with people whom you work, empower them, go to the next level. I see people not empowering their juniors and they get stuck to doing what they've been doing through and through. So you have to empower the people around you, learn to trust them. Uh, that's probably what I would say.
No, 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 thank you. And what you just told us, we have actually done today by having this conversation and learning from you. we are towards the end of the show, but I don't want to miss the opportunity. And it's not always that Mr. Lula joins these shows. So both Balaji and I will take the opportunity to invite him for some closing comments. Over to you, sir.
Thank you, Anshuman and Balaji, for being so kind to me. Uh, I have learned much from this chat, from this conversation. And it is so inspiring to see a person fulfill my original dream. I don't know if you are aware that I was all set to become a surgeon and a neurosurgeon at that. But this IIT entrance exam came along and I went with the flock and appeared. And strangely, only I got admission and all my friends went abroad. That to mechanical engineering. And that's where my dreams of being a neurosurgeon was RIP. I have tried to flirt with the healthcare profession quite a bit over the years. And my current flirtation is with Kaho, where Lallu plays a very major role. What she hasn't told you is her ability to organize large events. Organizing events where you have over 1,000 delegates over a few days and getting the best speakers is no small job. We know that. And Lalu didn't mention that, and I'd like the audience to know this. Uh, at these events, she's invisible. But behind it all, she is the foundation. And we all respect that and compliment you for it.
Thank you, sir.
So, thank you, Lalu, for finding time on a Saturday. And I'm sure all our Qualitist community has gained from it. And we would like you to be active in our group on WhatsApp or LinkedIn, attend the future meetings, ask questions, become a terrorist yourself. Okay. So thank you, and back to you, Anshuman.
Thank you,
Pretty
sir.
much, thank you once again. We still have questions coming in, but I'm afraid, being a quality management show, I will start and end on time. And so, what we'll do is that, of course, uh, we target one session every month, and we've been meeting our target. So, just for the audience, the next show will be soon announced. We already have the guest, just trying to figure out the right date and time. So please keep an eye on that. And it will help if you follow the handle if you're joining from LinkedIn and or on YouTube, because then you will get the alerts on your own. So you don't have to watch out for the alerts. So that with that, and our big thanks to Dr. Lalu, our guest today. Fascinating conversation. And both Balaji and I have done now 12, 13 of these, but each occasion is a learning in itself. So thank you once again. And it was certainly a very interesting mix. And when your move from one space to another has probably given you multi-edge, I would
Sir.
say skill sets as well. So that's a lesson I take back, is that when you move from one place to another place and you care to carry these skill sets, then you are a far better professional as well. With that, we will end the session. Unless Balaji, you have something to say towards the end. Last 1
Well,
minute.
I didn't know of Suresa's dream of being a surgeon. So it's never too late. You can still enroll for the course. You know, I mean, it's never too late to learn. And of course, just one more thing, Suresh. I hope this time the Qualitist show is going to be. I mean, our Qualtech is going to be in person, so we can all meet again. I'm throwing a hint.
We look forward to that, and uh, we are collaborating with Kaho to have a healthcare edition of Qualtech.
That would be awesome.
Wow, that'll be great.
Okay, fantastic. And with that, I will call an end to the show. Thank you, everyone. Thank you, sir, for coming for this episode. And of course, Dr. Lallu, once again, thank you very much. And to our lovely audience, see you next time. Bye bye.
Thank you. Thank you.